We will now go to Brian from Brunswick. Brian?
Good evening, Congresswoman.
Good evening.
This is sort of a three-parter here. First, have you actually read the entire bill yourself, front to back, and completely understood it without having a lawyer explain it to you? Second, why do you feel that a public plan would be better than simply opening the borders of Ohio to allow for a free market to promote more competition? Why do you feel that natural competition in the market isn't as good as a government option in which the government has the worst record of wasting our tax dollars? Finally, why is it so hard for Congress to simply accept that there are some things that will cost too much for the nation to afford? Health care is a moral issue, but it's not a guarantee in our Bill of Rights. Do you feel that your continued record on increased spending is going to keep you in your position? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brian. I think that was more than three parts, but let's try to get through them. The first question you asked was about reading the bill from front to back. The answer is yes, and let me even go further to explain. The bill was introduced, and in its form as introduced, it was an extraordinarily long bill, and I read it. The bill was also amended and was considered in committee in the nature, a bill in the nature of a substitute, an amendment in the nature of a substitute. And it was a little bit different than the bill that was introduced, and I read it, okay? I also, of course, as a member of the committee, had the responsibility to review the amendments and certainly, assess them on their merits as we were taking votes for and against them, and looking at what the process was doing to the bill. So, and you asked me if I needed a lawyer to explain it to me. I am a lawyer, and so that may make things a bit easier for me. I don't know in understanding the bill. But if there were questions that I had along the way, I certainly, had the opportunity to investigate them myself. Sometimes, through research independently, and sometimes making sure that I was understanding this properly through questions of staff and experts. But by and large, I do understand the bill, and it's important to understand the bill doesn't exist in a vacuum, and that I know just sort of makes it even more complicated because, in a way, we're now talking about not only the bill, which you have to read in its entirety to understand how the provisions work together, but we also have to understand how the provisions work with current law. And so I appreciate your desire to know that your representative is doing what she needs to do to be responsible to stay on top of the legislation that's pending. And I will continue to strive to do that always. In terms of the competition under the current system, why can't we just persist with market forces as they currently exist, and health insurers, they can compete and bring down costs? Well, they have had a lot of opportunity to do that through the course of time, and that has not been what has happened. Competition is squelched out, and so having a public option as just one option, I believe, is a better impetus for the market forces that we believe in this country to have their potential beneficial effects realized. So that's why I believe that it's important to have a public option as one option that people can pick but don't have to pick for their family's needs. With respect to, I think you talked about the government being completely incapable of running health care. Well, they're not going to be running health care. As is indicated, private insurance will still exist, and if that's where you want to stay under your private insurer or choose a private insurer through the health exchange, you can certainly do that and avoid having to deal with any administration through a public option. Now, of course, when you get to be 65, you will, I guess if you're like most people out there, take on the government-run Medicare program. And, of course, Medicare, while we need payment reforms and some other reforms in Medicare to shore up its solvency, and I am certainly committed to doing that. And, in fact, in this bill, we take action to do that while preserving the care that our seniors are receiving and, in fact, improving it. Medicare operates with a 4% administrative overhead, whereas in the private insurance, which, out there, as I mentioned earlier, the medical loss ratio, which is the amount of money that they spend on things other than paying claims, so that would include administration, advertising, profits, varies in some cases in a rather extreme way up to 40% of the money for premiums taken in not going to the delivery of health care for the people. So I guess if you are one who believes that the public option can't possibly work because government will be involved with that one particular facet, then one shouldn't be concerned that it will do anything to private insurance, because people won't want to be a part of it and they'll fall out of it, and it won't have the business to sustain itself. So, you also asked about health care as a moral issue. I do think it certainly has moral components and is a moral issue, but I also think that it is a real financial issue for America's competitiveness, and we can improve healthcare efficiencies to get away from the unsustainable growth that our families are facing in healthcare costs every year, while improving outcomes. So I think we can do better. This is a great country, and I'm just appreciative of the input that all of you are providing so that we can come up with a plan that will work for the people of the 13th District in the country. Thank you.